What's up, all my amazing people and artists out there? I'm back, and I wanted to at least paint with you because I'm going to be making this awesome painting right here. Check that out. We're going to do it together. No editing, in the raw. I'm going to be teaching you how to do this at my painting event, so I wanted to see how you like it, and I wanted you to get ready for it because we're going to rock this painting out. What's up? What's happening, everybody? I am back. So sorry for the delay because literally when the holidays come, my complete studio turns into a storage room for all the holiday stuff. So I literally can't paint or do anything artistic or just kind of do anything new. So it's all backed up, but I got it all away and I'm excited for this. Wanted to just kind of wish you guys a happy New Year's now that I know we're getting into it. I know I haven't posted a video for quite some time, but like I said, I need to get ready for this new year. I need to get some new paintings out because if you follow me, chances are I've actually painted with you face to face and we've done a lot of these paintings before. But you always have to come up with some new material. You always have to kind of just keep in the mix so you can keep things fresh, keep new paintings coming, because some of these places that I paint at are on like a monthly retainer basis. So I literally have to do so many paintings to keep up. And it's kind of cool for me because I get to test my skills, try to find some new stuff, new material, things like that to do. And that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. So this is how I prep for my painting events, my painting parties. I've been doing those for about 6 years now. Probably have taught about nearing about 35,000 people. Face to face though, face to face. Now some of you I painted with virtually, some of you I paint with YouTube. But the idea is that hopefully you kind of get my style now. You know what I'm all about. So you know I'm all about making mistakes, messing up. And I want you just to kind of think about when you're painting that, think in your mind that other people suck too. All right? I'm going to say I suck at some stuff. A lot of stuff with painting. I suck. Some of the times I look on some of these these ultra realistic paintings or some of these artists out there, I'm like, holy crap, how the heck do you do that? And I just come to the realization that it's just like, you know what? That's a very, very small percentage of people that can actually do stuff like that. And also, too, they spend months, even years, painting that one painting. Whereas in my classes and my events, we knock a painting out in 2 hours. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think that, you know what, you don't have to be perfect. Yes, if you want perfection, spend a crap load of time on it. I almost said the S word, can't do that. I'm trying to be a little bit more kid-friendly with everything because I do love painting with kids. I love teaching kids. I love teaching teens, adults, and I love the fact that I can teach you simple steps on how to make a painting. So we're gonna knock one out here. We're gonna do some improv. I haven't even put paint on my plate yet. That's how improv this thing is. All right. So we're gonna just knock this out. I've got some brushes ready. I'm gonna use the exact paints that I typically use at some of my events. And let me show you what those are. So here is one of them. This is a Artist Loft Flow acrylic from Michaels. This is like a big jug of it. And I can get these at a pretty good price, actually. There's a lot of paint. In fact, most of the paints that I have in my studio are just leftover paints that I've used at my events. So there's not too much in here. In fact, I'm looking in my studio light and I can see there's barely any left. I can even feel it. There's barely any left in here. But I don't like to waste paint. I want to keep using it. I want to keep actually using that. So let's get some yellow on that. Now this is almost empty, so I got to shake weight this bad boy down and get my plate. Like I said, this is going to be like a full-on showing of how this actually happens here. So let's go ahead. I'm waiting for that paint to kind of come down. That's how empty this bottle is. And when the bottle gets like this empty, what I'll do is eventually get a bunch of them and funnel them into just one and try to just take the leftover paint. And especially when you're trying to do the last of it, it's like a butthole trying to fart. And there you go. Got some yellow. Perfect. Does that splatter. Hate that. All right, I got my easel here. Now, typically when I'm doing my events, I teach on an easel. It's only so the audience can see. Otherwise, I'm cool with like literally painting on a flat surface, a table, something like that. Here's white. Same company, Artist Loft, Michaels, yada, yada, yada. Here we go. Boom. Oh yeah, some raw fartage. Boom. Cool. And let's get some blue. There we go. Got a little bit more in here, so I can feel it. So practice, like get some paints, like get some cheap paints too. I don't spend a ton of money trying to supply all of these artists like this super, super expensive paint because you just don't need to. You want to teach them, you want to learn with like the basics, you want to kind of grasp it, and then when they're ready, have them go get that expensive paint. Ah, dang it. See? In the raw. Improv. There you go. So, God. So, I'm more of a fan when I have a ton of paint in this thing because it makes it 10 times easier to pour out on my plate. Look at, you can see it's just splatter and crappy, but that's okay. You know what? Whatever. I'm just going to go with it. Sometimes when it splatters like that, it mixes into the other colors. It kind of sucks. We need black eventually. Got a little bit of black here. So what kind of paintings do you guys rock? What kind of paintings do you guys do? So many times I get artists that are just like so elite and you're like, dude, I can't help you with like the people that like the 99% of the population that doesn't know how to paint. It's okay. Like you got to just like understand a lot of artists just show off their best work. And that's great. I mean, hey, you know what? They got some good art out there. But for real, like, how are you going to connect sometimes with people that are learning? I just don't understand it. Some people are just, I remember my art teacher just trying to make it an expectation. And you're like sitting there just like, what the heck are you talking about? I do my own style. I do my own thing. And that's totally fine. That's what I want. That's what I want you to do. When I was in school, I just did my style, did how I rocked it, and that's the way it went. All right. Now I've got color on my plate, so let's just get started. I know you guys are probably anxious and ready to paint, actually. So here's a brush. Oh my God, look at this thing. So I got to give you guys a heads up. This past New Year's, look at that. There's like a hair right on it. Oh gosh, gross. I had to literally... my last painting event, I totally forgot to actually rinse my brushes out. All the brushes that I do for the events, all my brushes that I do when I'm up there, I just completely just like let loose on the last painting event and just said, oh, okay, whatever. And just must have spaced out and didn't even wash them. And so I just had a painting event and I opened the box and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like most of the brushes were hard as a rock. The paint was just solid on these brushes. I had to soak them for so long. and eventually had to maybe get some new brushes. That was my bad. It happens to us artists, you know, you get caught up in this world, especially right now, it's crazy. But sometimes I actually find these gems, like look at this bad boy. Look at this this old rust bucket. What are we gonna do with this guy? Look at this guy. Look at the bristles literally hanging off the edge there. This brush has seen a better a days. Yep, look at the rust just hanging on that. You don't want to get cut by that. You're going to have to totally go to the emergency room, get that tetanus shot happening. But you know what? I'm going to use it. I'm going to see what I can do. All right? Now you got this canvas. What I do is I typically have a 16 by 20 that I paint on during the event, and this will be the example that I use in the event. All the canvases that I give out are going to be 11 by 14, so there is some size difference. I tell people just, you know, go with it because it's really for visual purposes so you can see my canvas a little bit better. But I like the 11 by 14s because these are pretty big canvases. And if you want to hang this up on a wall in your house, you got to find a lot of space, especially if you like doing these painting parties a lot. You're going to have to figure that out. You're going to have to find a lot of spaces for these. The 11 by 14s at least have, have a little bit more of a smaller base to it, so you can actually, find a spot where you can, put quite a few places. So, and especially if you're doing it so often, that's going to help you out a lot. So, again, let me show you this bad boy. Oh man. You know what? This brush was probably like so sad and was like, I'm never going to be used again. Never ever. Because look at me. I'm on the island of misfit toys and misfit brushes. And I can't be used. Nope. You have me. You have Sean right here. He's gonna be using this brush. I'm gonna give it a whirl here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of take my hand here and just kind of squeeze tight. And let's see if we can get these these little bristles back in line. It's already starting to work. Let's take a look at that. See? Now the rust, I can't do much for you. Okay? I'm not going to do a whole lot for you right now. But the little itty strings of bristles, I'm going to get back in place. And when I put paint on the brush, it's going to help line them up even better. So, what did you just learn? Yes, it's okay to use old brushes. No big deal. Look at that. Look at all that info when you haven't even started painting yet. All right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and take this brush. I'm going to put some plain blue on this guy. And I'm just going to do the top layer right up here. Just going to do this kind of like diagonal motion. Now this is just plain acrylic paint going on a dry canvas. I did not put any stuff on this bad boy. This is already pre-primed, which means I can put paint right on top of there, and I'm doing this nice diagonal motion. Okay, I know in the corner right up there it's kind of difficult to see right over there, but don't worry, there's some blue on there. Now when I'm doing the paintings, I leave it up to the all the people doing the event and hanging with me. If they want to paint the actual edges of their canvas, I leave that entirely up to them. That's their choice. I don't, just because I'm just so in the mix and so busy like teaching it and doing it. And I also DJ during, I do games during it. We'd have a raffle during, so there's so much going on in my head, let alone painting a painting and entertaining. So I leave that up to them. I typically don't. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that same blue brush and I'm going to add a little bit of white on there and just kind of bring a little bit together, making a powdery light blue. And let's go ahead and add some white. Same diagonal brush stroke. Just making some atmosphere, which means the blue is going to be darker up top and it's going to start coming into a lighter blue down below. And it's okay if it's streaky. Don't worry, that actually helps our cause. It makes it look a little bit more natural. The paint is still wet, so what I'm doing is expanding it and taking it as far as I can without putting any more on my brush. I'm going to see how far I can take this. A little bit down, little bit by little bit. You can literally hear the brush strokes as I'm going along. Now, if you don't like fingernails on the chalkboard, this is a little bit better, but not much. All right. I'm just looking at all my colors of what I need. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more white on here and just lighten it up down here on the bottom. Now, every time you add white, it softens your painting. What I mean is it just tones down those colors. All right. Whoa, hey, look who's been hitting the shake weight right there. Yeah. Not. I was going to say. Again, this is all 100% raw. Like there's no editing. I don't want to edit any of this. Okay, so I got my brush. It's got blue and white on there. I want to start making some more colors happen on this painting, so I want to just give that a chance to start drying off. We're adding, this is going to be our sky. That's what we're working on. In fact, this is going to be a lot of stuff in our sky. Now, what I want to do, I'm just grabbing random brushes. Like I said, you don't have to worry about what kind of brush. A lot of for the background stuff, you probably want to make bigger brush strokes, and that's going to happen a little bit faster for you. So I would say get a larger brush, one with a little bit more size to it. And then when you start doing detail stuff, that's when you start going over to your smaller brushes. But let's do this. Let's add some color. Let's add some yellows underneath it. Now, I don't want to touch my blue because it'll turn green on me because that paint's still drying. So I'm going to make a little barrier in between. Got a little bit of light blue, got some yellow, and I got white. Again, I'm still doing that same kind of diagonal motion. I'm a big fan of that diagonal motion because it just shows a little bit of something different than if you were to go straight across. A little bit of more fun, something different. And I've got a little bit of a line of white you can see going right across there. That's just to keep that barrier a little bit across while that blue dries off, so I don't put yellow into that blue so it makes green. It's gonna suck. You're gonna hate that. I can tell you already. Now what's so cool about this is these are like your base layers. These are just your base colors. No big deal. In fact, you know what you can even do is you can make like a line right across here about halfway in your canvas, and now you know where your sky meets eventually your land or your water, whatever you got rocking on your painting. I'm just going to leave that like that. Just let it dry off for a second. Acrylic paint is such a user-friendly paint because it dries very quickly. If we were doing oil paints, we'd be here for quite a long time, perhaps weeks doing this painting. So we're going to go ahead and stay away from that, and I'm just going to go ahead and keep rocking out this stuff. Now, as you can see, I've got yellow, white, blue, and black. Now, black is actually one of my furthest out colors just because if I do a silhouette, which I'm probably going to do on this painting, I want to wait till the end. I want to wait till the end to have that because that's going to be my boldest. That's going to be my most dangerous color that I'm using. So I still want to have some fun with this. So now that I got this brush right here, I'm going to keep working maybe more on I'm going to add some water down below, reflection. I'm going to save some room. I'm going to add a little bit of a barrier here. And I'm just going to start adding maybe a little bit of some kind of reflection of yellow. And it always changes. You know, nature is not perfect, and we use that to our advantage. So that's why you see a lot of artists do landscapes, because you can mess up. It's all good. There's no perfection needed. All my perfectionists have the toughest time trying to realize that on their on the painting events that I do. So hopefully they're drinking wine or having some kind of adult beverage, just to let loose, let go, because yeah, man, you have to just be like whatevs on a lot of this stuff. So as you can see, okay, I've got some reflection starting right there. I can even take my old brush and maybe even add some blue and some white down here below just to add some reflection, maybe just going on down here below from the sky up above. Now I think what I'm doing right now is I'm making some water because it's so reflective. In fact, I know that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna make some water. And eventually, now when you're doing these paintings, if you ever want to do like a painting event or a painting party, you don't want to make it so advanced that you're having a tough time trying to figure this out. You want to make it somewhat easy for them and extremely easy for you, because you're going to be teaching this. You're going to be entertaining. You're going to be doing all this stuff. You want to like walk around. You want to see how everybody's doing on their painting. You want to see their style. Especially sometimes people are going to be like, hey, I need help. I need help. So you want to make sure that you have the full confidence that you can rock this painting out no problem. And what I try to do is at least, if I can teach this if I can do this painting in about a half an hour or so. Now I'm doing a little bit longer because we're on YouTube right now, and I'm teaching it step by step on this, going a little bit more in depth. But usually these paintings would maybe be about a half an hour for me to knock out, just because it has to be. It's not a want, it's a have to. All right, I'm just gonna add some white down here, powdery light blue, maybe some reflection. Now I can make it choppy too, and texturize, because this is water down here. I'm going to go ahead and keep doing some of this light blue. It's a really pretty color. And I'm doing the side-to-side brush with still that same old brush. A lot of people are like, man, you crazy. Why are you using such crap brushes? Well, it just works out. It adds imperfections. It just does the job sometimes. Whew. All right. I'm going to let that dry. I don't even need to go to the bottom because I'm going to add more stuff on the bottom eventually. But look at all that paint. Man, there's a lot on the sides there. I need to make sure I'm taking care of that side. So take a look. There you go. I mean, again, this is just straight up painting. We are just 100% having at it. No breaks. No need. I'm keeping my brushes out. Now I need to find some red. So hold on. Do I have red in my bucket here? Oh yeah, down below. I've got this big old cart right next to me. I don't know if you can see. Nah, you can see the top of it a little bit there. All right, I got red. Now typically I like to prep all my stuff. I have my paints out. I've already prepped all the paint palettes for everybody that's attending the event. Everything's ready for them to go, so it makes it nice and easy for them. They appreciate that. But now let's do this. We need to add some color into the sky. This is a really pretty sky that we can really do some cool stuff with, and we can have fun with it. Let's start off with some bold colors, and then we can tone it down. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got red right here. A little bit of red into your yellow. We'll make an orange. Just a little bit of red. You don't need too much. It'll make a light orange. Let's do that. Light orange. And let's start over here on this side. And I'm just adding some streaks of this orange. And some of these reds are starting to come off my brush a little bit, maybe, whatever. It's on accident, but it makes it look maybe more realistic when it's on accident. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Look at those streaks. Look at that. You can see like some of the clouds getting caught up in there. You can see some fun stuff happening. You know, in fact, let's add some over here. Like these ones are going to be a little bit more flat. Again, no perfection needed. just have fun with it. And the color that's going to bring these two together is actually going to be white. You'll see what I mean when we get that going here. Let's add a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit more red into my orange there and make kind of a burnt orange. That's probably about as bold as I want to go. I don't need to go too much. I want to use some pastels in this painting. There you go. Okay, got that. Got my sunset. Now, let's bring the blue sky and this orange together. That's going to tie it in. We're going to add some white just right on top of that. And I'm going to do the same technique. I'm going to add some of these streaks, bringing it down into and up. So you can see I've added some streaks up into the blue to tie it together. And then I can bring some down and to tie it together. We're using those pastels that are going to just go ahead and bring these two colors together, and it just works. And you can see I'm doing pretty elongated brush strokes. I'm not doing these itty bitties. I'm doing these pretty elongated guys. So as you can see, look at that. It adds softness. It adds like a pretty cool touch to it. And we're starting to already rock out this painting. So as you can see, we want some reflection going on down here. We want to still match what we got going on. So I'm going to add some streaks into my blue as it still kind of tends to dry a little bit. This is where all my perfectionists are like, oh no, I can't do it. And I really have to reassure them to let loose, enjoy the process of all of this. This is what it's all about, is just enjoying the process. Okay, so we've got a horizon line. You can obviously see where there's water. You can obviously see where there's clouds. We can see this really cool thing happening already taking place. Now, what I want to do is eventually I'm going to be adding this cool effect down here. Okay, I'm going to need a new brush for this. Here's a crappy brush right here. If I've ever seen one, this is not good. You can see some of the bristles hanging out. No big deal. I'm going to use that to my advantage. I want to make a light gray. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add a tiny bit of this black, dangerous color into some of my white. And I am going to freak people out with this step, but I'm going to go ahead and add a nice line of light gray going right across here. It's so funny when I splatter paint on my back here. Now I know how much paint I'm rocking out when I do my events. It's all over the place. Okay, we're just making a nice light gray. I'm going to go ahead and add more, and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. You're like, what the heck is that for? That's just the base layer for something coming up eventually. No big deal. Nothing to look twice at right now. Whew. You don't want it too streaky. You want to get this one nice and kind of even for now, but at least know that it's there. And what we did was we just added another layer that's going to change this painting like so crazy much. So I'm going to set this guy down, and now we go ahead and let's make some more color. Let's make it happen. All right. So I've got this brush. It's got a little bit of that pastel stuff on it. Don't worry. I'm going to add some blue and some red, and I'm going to make a purple. It's almost like a, when you do dark colors into lighter colors, it tends to get a little bit darker when you do, so watch what you do. See how you kind of just start off with a little bit and then go from there. All right, look at this. Whoa, what did I just do? My gosh. I'm getting you brave. I'm getting you brave. That's what I'm doing. Okay, if you want to lighten it up, put some white on it and pastel it up. No big deal. Now you can really see some really cool shadowing coming out of this, some different color clouds coming out of this. Layers are happening. And that's what I'm talking about. It's just a totally different vibe just by adding that color. Isn't that amazing? I love it. But we still need to add some of that reflection down below. So let's go ahead. Let's separate some of this blue up. Add little streaks. I'm using the same brush. Again, there's no perfection needed. I want you to mess up. Wow. And so really you're just almost kind of mirroring the upper clouds. It's okay if it's not perfect. Again. But there you go. Wow. Look at our sky. It's coming together. What's going to tie it in is going to be the next few steps. It's really amazing how this happens. Now, as you can see, this is the time where a lot of people in my class are just like, whoa, trying to take a deep breath, because that's a lot. You did a lot very quickly. And it can be overwhelming for some, but you know what? We got to just keep marching away. You got to build up their confidence. You got to make sure that they're doing okay. I mean, let them know. You know, as they're hanging out, you can make pink if you want to. Put some red and white. I don't care. Do whatever the heck you want. Look at this. Look at that. You can do some amazing stuff. I want you to just let them know, or I want you to know at home, that it's no big deal. I want you to just have the fun of just messing up and knowing that it's okay, and try using different colors. Get brave. All right? That's what it's all about. Exploring this art world. There's so much to it. So, there we go. We've got that. I've even had people say, okay, I want a little bit more clouds in my sky. I'm going to just go ahead and take that old brush I was using, and I'm going to put maybe some white streaks in here. Just add some bright white clouds. Look at that. And I just added a little bit more. What we do is, you know, I give the chance for them to take some breathers, take some breaks. I leave it up to them if they want to add some stuff. I leave it up to the artist. They're the artist, you're their teacher, and you want to just kind of help them out along the way. That's all you're doing. All right, now you're asking maybe like, okay, what is this whole thing down here? So I'm going to take a new brush. It's a medium or a small brush, and I'm going to go ahead and put some white on there and just a little bit of black, and I'm going to go ahead and start making kind of a darker gray. I've already got a light gray on there. Now I need to make kind of a darker version of that. All right, and here's what we need to do. Let's go ahead and make a nice dark gray line going right across. This is where your finer lines start to come in. This is where you start seeing some shape, because a lot of this is abstract. So you need to reassure them that, you know what, this makes sense. May not make sense to you right now, but eventually it will come together. Okay? Let's go ahead and maybe make a line going right here in the middle, just like that. And let's make some lines start to spread out, making some kind of like wood paneling, or maybe like a boardwalk of some sort kind of happening like this, like a deck. And they're just coming out from each end there. So as you can see, now we actually have some kind of substance going on right there. The world of humans came into this natural world, and it's making these awesome kind of configurations here. You can even add a little bit more black into your gray, and you can just break up some of that, making it look a little bit more natural, very random. And also too, what I like to see people do is just add some brush strokes, just kind of like going the direction of those original lines that we made. You can see it adds a little bit more dimension. And wow. Now, we can add different layers onto that. We can add more texture. We can add so many more cool things. Now, I'm just teaching you in just a few moments, so, you know, do what you like. Okay, you have so much time to like mess up, have fun with this, kind of add whatever you want. I'm just teaching you kind of very quickly here on this so I can eventually teach it to all my people. But I want you to just have fun with it. Look at that. Wood grains kind of going, and then you can even add some plain white just to texturize it. And you can see how quick you can just start making these lines happen. And you want it to be messy. You want it to be kind of messed up because you don't want this like rotting wood out here in the elements to be all perfect. That's not going to happen too much unless you first built it. This one's been here for some time, so you've got some texture to it. And you know what? When you're further away from your sunset, you can even add some like shadowing down below. So I just added a little bit more black into my light gray, and that creates kind of a little bit more of a shadowing effect. See? Maybe the light's not hitting it as much. Ooh. There we go. Let's add some here. Whatever. Okay. You get the point, right? You can see that there is some kind of like, you know, wood paneling or something that's happening there, a little bit not nature. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and take that same brush, and now we're going to make an absolute land happen right now. We're going to go ahead and just take a little bit of plain black and make a line going, breaking up finally your water meeting your sky. Oh man, look at how much that changed. That's super rad. I love that part. And you know what? These are maybe some distant mountains or something here. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of bumps. Okay, and imperfections. Some random stuff going on in the background there. Whoa. What a difference just a little bit of paint makes. Okay, and now while I've got this brush out, I am going to go ahead and add some character to this. Now I want to keep that brush out. I want to have some nice black on there, but also too, another fun step. Gosh, I need another color. So I'm literally using all the colors that I have on this thing. I want to let that dry off. That black is so awesome. If you have leftover black on your brush, feel free to use it on some of your like lines on your boardwalk here, or your little deck, whatever you want to call it. Okay, you can use some leftover paint on there. I'm just looking at my painting when I'm looking at the camera as well. You'll see me do that quite a bit. You ever see that too? When you're trying to watch YouTube, when somebody's like straight up talking to you, and they're talking to you because they're used to seeing like the other side, but I got to see kind of what I'm doing for you to teach you. So you'll see me kind of looking at the painting too, just to make sure it looks good for you. Okay, there you go. Look at that. That's fun. Yeah. Whew. Take a breath. Some of you aren't breathing. Remember to take a breath. Make sure you're breathing. All right. Now we can make our own green. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make my own green. We do use green at some of our events, but you know what? We can do our own. We can make our own. So, what two colors make green? Boom! Yes, blue and yellow. My artists. Those are two primary colors that make a what? Secondary color. So I took some blue, put it into my green. Hello? Thought I heard somebody outside my studio. Alright, I've got green. There you go, you can see it coming alive. Now this is fun. Let's add some life kind of going off. Some spikes happening right off here. Looks like we've got some kind of like plant life just happening right off this nice little deck here. And it's just in the water there. It's just, that's what nature does. Now I'm watching that black because I know it's still drying. So I'm just going to kind of skip around it for a second. There you go. And just be random with it. That's the best thing I can say, is just be random, space it out a little bit. Some are larger, some are smaller, some are more clustered, some are a little bit more spaced out. That's going to be the best bet for you, is just to keep that natural look for you. And then you can make some small ones. I'm using a small brush, just like a flat brush. Let's see, check it out. And some of these greens aren't as prominent, but when I add some of the next color, it'll change that right away. I'll add some plain black with it, and that'll change it. Let's do that. Here we go. I'm going back to my other larger flat brush. It's okay if you keep with the small brush. Check this out. Woo! I'm kind of following some of the green. And eventually we can add these awesome silhouettes here. But the green gives a little bit of a highlighted effect. And the black obviously gives it the shadowing effect. And we can even add some stuff in the sky just to give it some more depth too. We'll do that in a second. Maybe we can add some birds flying up in the sky. All right, so we got some green stuff going on there. And you know what? We can even add these kind of like little tops to these guys just by dabbing the brush. Same black brush there. As you can see, it just starts to just come to life. It's just a really pretty painting when it comes down to it. I mean, honestly, it's simple. There's no perfection, as I taught you. And I'm just so proud of you guys for sticking with it, you know. And all my artists, when we finish the class, no matter what, if you think you did good, think you did bad, the point is just the experience of it all. I want you to experience this, you know, like, you know what, some people haven't painted for, I don't know, 10 plus years. I've literally had people in my classes that haven't painted for 30, 40 years, and you're like, wow, okay, all right, hey, you know what, let's let that side out of you here. Let's figure this out. Let's have some fun. Let's make it not so like it was back in the day in high school, when it was just, you know, you're always judged and stuff. Remember, everybody kind of sucks too, you know, so just think that. I'm not the best artist. I know there's artists that are way better than me, but is that going to stop me? Nope. Am I using all the correct shadowing and white balance? Nope. But do I care? Nope. And that's the whole point. It's just enjoying the process. So look at that. Look at that. You see these cool colors. We did this in simple, easy steps, guys. Like, there's no perfection. I literally been telling you this whole time. Whatever on this, okay? You have the power and ability. So let's add some more kind of fun shadows in here. This one I'm going to use a small brush, because we're going to add maybe some birds up in here in the sky. Now, I do have some green on there, so I probably want to wipe that off, at least, because I don't want swampy birds. I want some silhouettes of some dark birds. I'm going to just wipe that off. You know what? Let me rinse that off a little bit. And I got everything pretty close by, so I don't have to like go walking back and forth and everything too, so that's nice. All right, here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and make a couple little dashes, some lines, and just random. We're going to make some little birds here, little shadows. And all they are little lines, really. I'm not doing any kind of perfection, but you get the point of what it is. Like people like understand like, okay, those are birds in the background flying towards me, you know? They don't look like birds because they're just shadows, all right? There's no need to sit there and try to be perfect. Nope. No way, Jose. Yeah, you can just make little dashes. Some are farther away when they're smaller. You can do little things like that. And that's the point. That's why I want you to just understand that like that this is just what it is. Like you can see that there's no perfection happening in this painting. If I show you up close, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible. What the heck?" But step away from your painting. Step away from it and you might actually be surprised. All right? Here, I'm going to add a few more little lines here, random things. And that's what I'm talking about. Mess it up. I'm like, do I think that that's perfect? Heck no. But birds like to fly together sometimes. Sometimes they're further apart. Doesn't matter. All right, they're going so fast you won't even recognize them. All right, so, and then when you're done, you can take your brush, you can work on details if you want, you can work on little itty bitty things that, you're like, I don't like that so much. You can do that too if you have the time and the means. All right, but for now, again, this is going to be a painting that I am going to definitely teach at some of my events because I know there are tremendous values out of this. There's so much that they can learn out of this. I've already taught a lot of them how to do a lot of these simple steps, but it always helps to practice, all right? Keep it going, keep painting, enjoy the process. And now, of course, one of our last steps coming up is to sign this thing off, make it our own, initial it, date it. So I usually do this on the bottom corner over here. And I'm going to go ahead and use my brush. And I like to put the year. It's 2022. And I always make this a 1 out of 1 because it will be 100% unique compared to the paintings that I teach. It will be 100% unique. They will not have the same thing. I will not be exactly the same thing. And again, this is all art. No perfection needed. No perfection wanted. Now, if you're doing these hyper-realism things, then you want to be a little bit more on point. I get it. Trust me, I know. I just don't have the patience for it, okay? Some of you do, and I give you mad props. But for me, I teach thousands and thousands of people how to paint, and I don't have the time to do all that stuff. So, you know what? What I do is teach you how to make a painting very quickly with some sense of ease. And look what we just made. We just did this step by step in the raw. No editing. Nothing like that. No Photoshop. No whatever you want to do. I don't know. Apps, craziness, whatever. This is what it was. And I'm so happy to paint with you. So again, thank you so much for your patience with me. I am so sorry that I did have kind of a lagging time response. That means I definitely need to pre-paint some paintings and make some shows happen before the holidays. I'm learning my lesson because obviously, yes, I wasn't able to paint for some time, and yeah, it was annoying to me, and I'm sure, you know what, anybody that follows me, you know what, I appreciate all of you guys for being a part of this here too. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and take my magic finger right there, and I'm going to be pushing the stop button up here, and I'll see you at the next show.